Kevin Harvick makes it official. He is retiring, and Kyle Larson is going to run the double, the Indianapolis 500 and the Coke 600. Let's get into it. Coming up next. What is going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good today. Broke out the old retro Harvick shirt here because Kevin Harvick has made it official. He is officially retiring. 23 years in the Cup Series, 60 wins, a championship. I mean, not much more the guy can do. He's won more races for Ford since he moved to Ford than any other driver in that current stretch as well. So he's carried the banner for Ford, and of course used to have GM on the hood of his car. So he's carried the banner for General Motors and Chevrolet. And throughout this time, he's had several amazing paint schemes. You can't take that actually away from his legacy as well. He's had some very memorable, some very iconic paint schemes. Some of those will run as I'm talking about that right there. And there's just, I mean, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. There's nothing else you can really say about it other than cheers to Kevin Harvick. I wish him success in retirement. He said he wants to spend time with his family. He wants to put family first and prioritize that. So nothing wrong with that. Good move on his part. But that being said, man, we hate to see him go. Even a bunch of people that are not Kevin Harvick fans have come out and said they can't imagine the sport without him. And even though he's not their first driver, they have grown to respect and like him. So he is definitely going to be missed in the Cup Series. But that being said, it does open up a gap at Stewart-Haas Racing, and I talked about that yesterday, but even more importantly, this opens up a big gap at Ford, because now it just leaves Joey Logano as your sole veteran, your number one guy, where they used to have basically two number one guys. Brad Keselowski has not done anything at RFK, so I'm not trying to disrespect him or anything. I know he's a former champion, but he hasn't done anything at RFK yet. I expect them to continue to build and get better, but it leaves a big hole for Ford. And let's take a look at some of the drivers that possibly could fill that gap. Now, of course, if you go down the Ford pipeline, Cole Custer is in the wings at SHR. As long as he has a good Xfinity Series season, you would imagine he would be in the wings. Ryan Preece is already over there, so they already had him, so you plug him in. Zane Smith would be another one. You look at Zane Smith is already plugged in and ready to go. But if you don't go with your Ford pipeline, then you have to look at some free agents or some people in other people's pipelines. And then, so go look at Toyota. Toyota has a glut of race car drivers. So Corey Heim, John Hunter Nemechek, and Sammy Smith would be the first ones that jump off the list there. Of course, at Chevrolet, Josh Berry and Brandon Jones jump off the list there. And then you look at some veteran free agents. Of course, the big news today, Bob Pockrass released that Ross Chastain and Daniel Suarez will be free agents. I expect nothing to change there. I would expect them to completely return to Trackhouse. I don't think anybody gains anything by leaving Trackhouse in this particular situation. So I see both of those guys returning. I think Trackhouse would be crazy not to keep them. And I think for the longevity of their career, Trackhouse believed in them. If I was those guys, I would stick with Trackhouse, but that's just me personally. So I don't see them moving. Then you've got Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr. Both of those guys are long in the tooth. They're definitely veterans, but you might get a year or two max in them, so you would be right back in the same situation again. So I don't really see them, A, moving from where they're at now, and B, I also don't see them being as necessarily the driver you start. I mean, you want to build around, and so I don't really see that working out for Stewart-Haas. So that opens up a few extra possibilities where you got guys like Michael McDowell, Corey LaJoie, Alex Bowman would be your next tier on that particular level. We've seen what Alex Bowman can do. He's streaky, but he definitely wins races. And then you would just have to believe in Corey LaJoie and Michael McDowell. Look, we've seen when they have decent setups and decent equipments that they definitely get results. So if Gene Haas or Tony Stewart believes in either one of those guys, it wouldn't surprise me to see them go over there. So just a lot of question marks, but it's even more important for Ford. Ford has to get a really good driver over there. So I don't know. That's going to be a really big story to follow this season as well, along with, all the other crazy stories that we're going to be following this season. But Ford needs to find that guy to put in their lineup to help Joey Logano carry that torch for Ford as it goes forward. And nothing against Ryan Blaney, Chase Briscoe, Austin Cindric, any of those guys. I think those guys have a lot of potential and a lot of talent. They're just not necessarily established like Joey Logano is right now. So I'm not taking anything away from them. Kyle Larson has announced he is going to attempt to make the 2024 Indianapolis 500 with Arrow McClaren. Of course, this is the same team that, Fernando Alonso tried to make the Indy 500 in and was not able to make the race. But he is going to pull the double. He's going to run the Coke 600, and he is also going to run the Indianapolis 500. This will be the first time this has been done since Kurt Busch did it in 2014. 2014, of course, Kyle Larson's rookie season. So kind of cool that it lines up like that. And of course, Kurt Busch in the Indianapolis 500 that year finished 6th. He had a great accounting of himself in that race. Unfortunately, the Coke 600 didn't quite go his way. He fell out at lap 271. I can't really remember what happened, if it was a wreck or if it was something mechanical. I can't really quite remember exactly what happened, but he did. He was the last person to do the double. So now Kyle Larson in 2024, not next year or the season ahead of us, but in 2024 is going to attempt to do the same thing. And we will see if he can fare as well as Kurt Busch did in the 500. And hopefully he can definitely fare much better in the Coca-Cola 600. And wanted to close this out with some positive news. Positive because this guy's okay. But in the Chili Bowl, a guy was flung out of his race car. Ashton Torgenson, hopefully I'm saying that right. But he was thrown out of his car, but they got to him really quick, got him to the hospital and all that. He has passed all of his checks and all of his stuff like that. So he is okay, amazingly enough. Well wishes to him, thoughts and prayers and all that stuff. Hopefully he gets better, all the way better, and can move forward. But definitely a scary situation, but it is also really good that he is okay. All right, that is all I got for you on this one. If you made it this far, feel free to subscribe down below. If you're already subscribed, I appreciate you. It helps out the channel a whole lot. If you got a thought, comment, or anything like that, leave it down in the comments section. And other than that, thanks for your time. Peace.